yesterday. A two-bit expose of the same old story that I heard yesterday. Yeah, it goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged. You know they're all just spam. So buckle down, plug right in, and cross its way under your skin. Just got bow from the things they spout, and it won't make you shout. Give me that good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit. That good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit.
Oh, there we go. Let's get you in there. There we are, brother. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, guys? It's Friday, huh?
Friday, as Scott always says. Hey, welcome into the grounds, the most unique show here at 216 Creator Studios. Remote, just the two OGs this morning. You're out in Galena. I'm here in the producer's booth. And yeah, we're having a blast. Uncle Pete, right down there, Uncle Pete says, join this unique show. Just throw that right up into your web address searcher and come in and be part of this awesome show. Our good friend Don is in. Don, good morning. From Aubrey, Texas, Mr. Santos rolls in. Good to see you, Tim. Hopefully you shot well on Wednesday out there playing a little golf. And look, we got to give a shout out to our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center, 815-385-8190. If you're stressed, they'll help you be blessed. An incredible place. Tomorrow is the service for John, celebrating his life and everything that he did. Pretty apropos. The Pope's being buried today or something, or I don't know how that works, but hey, if you can be thrown in the dirt right around the same time the Pope is, well, you're pretty good.
Is that it? You get it in common. You got the same timing. It's a blessing in disguise, even though it was a horrible event, right?
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. So yeah, absolutely good stuff. Staying in your lane or knowing when to get out of your lane, or do you even know what your lane is?
That's the question, right?
Yeah. The OGs right here. There's the two of us, the two Utes.
The two Utes. I know when you told me that last night, I'm like, this is going to be good, man. The OGs and we're remote, so it's not like our energy is hammering each other in the studio.
Right. And people get to see the producer's booth here, which is nice.
Yeah, good looking dude there, huh? You're hiding back there?
Yeah, good stuff right here in the little producer's box. So what is it about? Staying in your lane, knowing when to get out of it.
Well, for me, it's, the last couple years have been a big revelation as far as, I say staying in my lane or, staying in my wheelhouse, right? How important that has been for me in learning my lane or learning, what my expertise is and sticking with it instead of trying to do 10 different things, right, that I'm okay at, so to speak, or can do, but I'm not efficient or good at doing, where it would be better for me to bring somebody else in to help me, right? Doing what I'm good at, doing what I'm good at, and giving somebody else to pick up the slack, if you will, to do, let's just say marketing. Like I'm not good at marketing. My wife is social media.
Okay.
That's not my wheelhouse. Right. I can come up just like you. I can come up with a ton of ideas, or I have good ideas, but being able to incorporate that and implement that plan or that, ad is not my thing. I could do it. It would take me a long time to get it done. I would get it done. But for me, I've learned how the value of letting other people do what is really not my forte. It's not my lane. Even though I can do it, let the specialist do it, right? Somebody that can help me along and do it in a more efficient manner so I can key on what I'm good at doing and what I'm best at doing.
So speaking of that, look at this beautiful chateau that Scott is in from the Galena Territories. Look, if you're looking for a beautiful getaway, a weekend, or maybe a new relaxing place to call your own, this may be going to hit the market today. When is that?
Probably early next week. It's
Early next week.
early next week. So,
And for the low cost of $3.5 million, it could be yours.
yeah, here, let me show you what 3.5 million buys you. See the ladder?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a ladder come with it. Dirty towels, everything. No.
That's my drying line, man.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So, thanks, Jenny. Yeah, the booth. Nobody ever gets to see the little hideaway that I'm in, but we do today because I'm the only one here in studio. And Jenny was thinking. I thought in terms of mind your own business, stay in your own lane.
Hey, that's a good way to look at it for sure.
Right.
Minding your own business. Yeah.
What if you don't have a lane, man? I got a country road that's there ain't no lanes in it. There's gravel, there's dirt. I can go in the ditch. I go out of the ditch. I mean, what if you don't have a lane? Staying in your lane. That's what I was thinking too. Is like you mind your own business. I don't poke into your business, things like that, but I poke into everybody's business. That's what I do. Right. I just, little poke here, get them nudged, get them thinking, like this. Everybody knows, what keeps you up at night. People ask, sometimes it's the bill, sometimes it's stress. What keeps me up at night is everybody knows Monster Inc., right? And Mike Wazowski, the little one-eyed green guy. So
Yeah.
is he blinking or is he winking?
Yes.
Right? That's a
Yeah.
big question. Is he blinking or winking? That keeps me up at night. I'm not sure.
If that's the only thing that keeps you up at night, brother, you got life by the balls.
Cyclops,
Let me
yeah.
tell you. You're staying in the right lane.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the reason for me bringing this up, because I didn't even look at it from the point of Shayna, minding your own business.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's important, right? But for me, and I think like a lot of people, I've tried to do so many different things in order to keep moving forward. And also because I didn't know, right? Like,
Right.
And you've called me a perfectionist many times. I don't think I'm a perfectionist
Well, you are.
per se, but I definitely like things be done my way, right?
That's the definition.
Is that the definition? But for me, I want it. Yeah, I want it my way, and so it's hard for me to release that control, whatever it may be. I mean,
Yeah.
even something as simple as cutting my grass, right? Like releasing that control to somebody that does that. That's I'm going to use the word passion. It doesn't have, but that's their thing. That's their passion. That's what they're good at. So many times in conversations, talking with people business wise or even personal wise, just, how do you do what you do? Or, how do you keep up with it? Well, I enjoy it, right? I really do enjoy what I do, even though I get frustrated and nuts sometimes. But it's what I do. It's what makes me happy. But I've also realized that there's certain things that just send me so far off course that I'm better off giving it to somebody else to do. Right.
Yeah, and again, being an entrepreneur, owning several businesses, I mean, that's where your brain goes when you say staying in your lane. Is what is it that I do good? To Shayna's point is like mind your own business, stay in your own lane. And she said, people that don't have a lane seem to find a way to get into mine. Buckle up if you share my road. She said.
She's not wrong, right? Yeah, what you should. People should all over you, right? What you should do for a living.
For me, staying in your own lane, right, and knowing when to get out of it is, like so many people today in social media, so many people today in life, will read a meme, will read a snippet off of some social media and then feel that they are an expert in a category. And all of a sudden, Scott and I are having a conversation and somebody comes up and says, they don't know anything, but they read a meme or heard it from somebody or they listened to a motivational speaker. And then they've got I'm an expert. Let me give you my opinion on this, or let me tell you why you're wrong because I know this. And at that point, it's like, listen, dude. I mean, or dudette, stay in your own lane. I mean, what you
Good catch.
weren't even part of this conversation, right? You weren't even on our road, but you want to jump in and give me your thoughts. Don says it is important to learn what you don't know. You don't know that you don't know. There's a lot of truth to that.
Unbelievable truth to that, right? I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, it is a learning experience. I have learned what I don't know, right? Or what, not even necessarily what I don't know, but what I know, but maybe something that I shouldn't be doing. It's better off past to, I go back to the social media thing. There's companies out there that's all they do is social media. There's companies out there all they do is accounting, right? I'm not going to pretend, I did for many years pretend like trying to do accounting on my own. You screw yourself up. How many things trying to do something that's not your forte, either to save time, money, not even time, just money. I mean, I did that stuff like that for many years because I'm so cheap, but it ended up costing me, I'm sure, in the long run, because I was not doing what I'm good at doing. I was trying to figure out someone else's job, right? Or someone else's expertise. And it cost me a lot, right? Because you get frustrated, and I shouldn't be frustrated over something that's not my forte per se. You know what I mean? Let me get frustrated on, dealing, like I'm more of a deal maker, a wheeler and dealer type of thing. That's my forte in the business realm, if you will, not the social media. But I tried to do it and it would fail. I mean, it wouldn't go well.
Mm-hmm. So then you just quit instead of learning it. Get better.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, there would be some times that I would just give up on something because I get so frustrated instead of going, here, pass it off to you. Let's say banking, right? I know money. I know how money works. I know the things that I think I should do with it and what I've learned over the years. But at the same token, I've screwed myself for so many years, right? Not necessarily screwed myself, but not have done myself the benefit by trying to stay in someone else's lane instead of saying, here, Kent, what should I do?
Yeah.
And that's a personal, I guess maybe a personal pride thing too, but it's also stubborn.
Yeah. Shannon says, I'm a wicked problem solver. People deserve to conquer their own problems. Letting people grow through problems is a challenge for my type. Yeah. So what you want to do is you're like, listen, idiot, let me help you here. Right. Yet probably what makes you a really great problem solver is all the times you tripped or stubbed your toe and figured it out. Right. And that's what problem solving is. But then when you're a really good problem solver like that, then your patience grows thin with people like, gee, get out of the way. let me take care of this. And I think that's, I always go back to when we talk about staying in your lane, things like that. I always go back to Rancher Ron, God rest his soul. And Rancher Ron, his famous quote, and a quote that I absolutely love is, life is an adventure to be lived. It's not a problem to be solved. Scott, it seems like you try to solve problems all the time, right? I've got to solve it. Can I do it? Who can I have it? And problem solvers are that way. They're gonna tackle life. They're gonna tackle everything. Shane is probably right in there with you because of a good problem solving. And how do I get this to get better? Where I'm like, I don't know, pick up the paddles and let's go down this whitewater raft and see what happens. And we're going to come out on the other side wet, maybe. Some people might fall out of the boat, but what the hell? Let's throw caution to the wind and just have a good time, right? And we both end up in the same place, right? Now I'm wet, tired, soaked, freezing. You and Shayna are like, hey, you could have just walked the trail over here, got here in the same amount of time and not had any, not almost drowned and killed yourself.
But would not have had fun. Right?
Probably have fun. I mean, you can have fun hiking, right? I'm just saying.
Right.
But,
The path not taken.
Yeah, and Shayna says that is living for a problem solver type, you know. And that's where I think a lot of it, you know, I'm like, but yeah, I'm like, hey, you know, que sera, sera. And, and then God's always going to point me in the right direction and have me end on my feet, you know, and if I fall down, I'll land on my back. Cause if I can look up, I can get up. I mean, that's the bottom line. Right. Don says, I believe best to let others learn how to fix their own problems. Tough though. What about your kids, Don?
Right.
And what about your adult kids, even? Right.
Yeah. And that is I mean, we've actually had that conversation this week about, you know, that.
Not Francis. Call me Francis one more time, I'll kill you.
Yeah, with your kids. I mean, letting them solve their own problems. I mean, I use the example, and I think we've talked about this, Kent, before, is, you know, I taught my kids to fish now, right? I'm not giving them fish anymore. I taught them to fish. It's hard. I watch them struggle, you know, and I'm getting way better at saying, you know, can I help you, instead of, you know, or do you need help, instead of just saying, hey, this is what I would do, or this is what you should do, right? Which I think is a normal and natural response for a lot of parents. I mean, and we do it out of love. I don't think we do it for any other reason, but a lot of times it can be, it can backfire on you, right? I mean, because you're not allowing them to figure it out, what's going on. And Don, perfect right there. Advise, not solve, right? If you want my opinion on what I would do, that's fine. Let them figure out what's worked best for them, you know, whatever their way of dealing with life and problems is, you know. What's their special set of skills? What was that movie? Oh, that was Taken. I have a special set of skills.
I don't know that one.
You didn't see that movie with Liam Neeson?
Don says advise, not solve. Think back when you were a young adult. How did you respond if your parents were telling you what you should do? I don't know if my parents ever did, or Alice's parents ever did. I mean, we were married at 22, right? We were wet behind the ears. I mean, we didn't even know what life was, but we got married at 22 and we faced the world, you know, and that was 33 years ago, you know, and when you take a look at that, yeah, we got our bumps, we got our bruises, but the bottom line is, with my kids, I get the popcorn out, and you know, if they come and ask for my advice, I'll give them my advice, right? But you know, like Colette moved out last weekend, and I was like, look, I got to work. So, you know, if you can do it next weekend, then I'll help. She wanted to move out, so she found help and she moved out and got it done. Guess what I did? Nothing. I went over to the new place and, oh, this is a nice place, right? But you know, she wanted to go out on her own. You know, she asked advice about, you know, technology in the house, and she asked me about these things. And I said, here you go, right? But again, it goes back to Don just giving advice. My son, he'll still call sometimes and ask for advice. How would you handle this? What would you do? Which is good. Shayna says, some wise person told me the best time to answer a question is when it's asked. Stupid. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Hey, yeah, I did nothing. I did it well. I was busy. I was doing stuff. I was just like, hey, I can't be there to help you move.
Well, sometimes the best thing is to do nothing, right? And that's kind of deciphering when is that time. And I mean, that's a lesson that I've learned and have been learning over time. Better. You know, it's important for me to sit back and think about, before I say something or do something, is what, you know, just like what she was saying, you know, what would I want? You know, how would I want it to be? If my parents told me that, I'm going to be like, screw off. Right. Or you don't know my life. You don't know what's going through my head. And it's taken me, 57 years to realize that, wait for somebody to come to you and actually bring it up to you, because then it's definitely a more valuable thing, right? They're going to actually listen to you instead of, a lot of people do the should. You know what you should do, right? And that's, you're done for me when that comes out of your mouth.
Yeah. Oh, Shayna, absolutely. Colette and I are a lot alike personality wise, so she's probably like, "Fuck this guy, I ain't going for it. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna do it on my time." She found some friends, moved. You know, she didn't have a ton of stuff, right? Because she's moving out of the house for the first time, right? So it's not like an entire house. It's just, you know, her basement living area. But yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all. Like, I'd rather get this before my dad gets, you know, because we're a lot alike. So, but it would not surprise me. You know, and that's why I say, you know, staying in your lane. You know, I guess for a long, long time in life, years, decades, maybe, I wanted to make sure that, Scott, your lane was paved and smooth. I wanted to make everybody happy. Hey, you're going to enjoy this ride, and let me see what I can do to do that. And so I would try to take away all the potholes. I would try to take away all the bumps, the bruises, and that's not necessarily good for everybody. It's very hard, you know, on me as I'm trying to smooth out somebody's road, you know, to make them happy and make sure they're having fun and that, while my road is going to heck, you know, and so what I've learned over time is to enjoy your journey, right? How I stay in my lane is I love being, you know, I love being a spectator in people's lives, right? Life is the best freaking show to ever watch. And when it's not scripted, and you know, when I say that, you know, all these reality TV shows or whatnot,
Yeah.
but you know, I love watching life, right? And watching the bumps and bruises, and oh man, he's an idiot, and listen, let's be as perfectly honest as we can. You're only here for a short time. You might as well be here for a good time, right? I mean, and you got to do what you love, and what you're passionate about, and what gets you up in the morning, and be around the people you love, and the people who, you know, you want to get up for in the morning. And
so what made you switch? What, I mean, you said for a while that was you.
No, it was absolutely wrong. You know, the 3, you know, the 3 years that Ron was my mentor and good friend, business partner. I mean, that's what I really came to understood is, you know, life's an adventure to be lived. It's not a problem to be solved. And when I was trying to solve people's problems before the problems appeared, I could see the bumps in their road, right? Or, hey, you come over here and just walk in my road for a little bit, because, you know, I want to make you happy. I want to be a people pleaser. I want to make sure that you're enjoying, you know, this. And now I get a lot more passion and pleasure out of watching people trip in their own potholes and see how they get out of it. At whatever age, right? You know, little kids, little mouthy kids used to, you know, I'd want to punch them. Now I laugh at them. I'm like, all right, buddy, let's, you know what? Let's circle back around when you're 10 years older.
See where that gets you.
You know, see where you're at, you know, and, you know, and let's watch this adventure. Let's see what happens. And for me, it's brought a lot of peace. It's brought, you know, people are like, you don't stress. Don't really need to, right? I mean, I put my faith in God. I don't put my faith in people or myself. And so far, God's always delivered, right? Always delivered. And, you know, so when things are going wrong or bumpy, or my road is full of potholes, that's when I'm like, this is going to be interesting on the other side. Let's get there, you know? And I don't stress about it, because something good's always going to come out of it, right? You know, there are people that I know. You know, Chris, we've had him on. You know, he's battling stage 4 cancer and changed his lifestyle, and the treatments and the way that he eats now, and his whole lifestyle, his numbers are coming down, and it's a good thing, right? That's exciting. that's a cool adventure to watch, right? Which is then motivating for me to go, you know what? You're up at 4:30 every morning anyway. You might as well go work out at the gym. Oh, hey, why don't you take some probiotics so your gut's right and you don't have the inflammation where cancer can live, and start doing things differently. So for me, I just started enjoying the adventure, right? And living the adventure and watching people live theirs and go, huh, that's great. Your adventure. You got 23,000 irons in the fire, and people go, man, he's crazy, right? And I go, this is a fucking cool adventure. I want to see where this goes, right? And what do I tell you? Hey, you need help? Let me know. I'm gonna be there for you, right? Because I want to see where this adventure goes. It's inspiring to me to watch other people now on their adventure instead of trying to change their adventure, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to be the forever flight attendant, hey, could I get you water? Could I, right? And so for me now, it's like, hey, you need me, I'm there, but I'm not going to offer you water. And when you're like, hey, could I get a water? Yeah, let me go get you a water, right? This is a fun adventure, and that brings passion and energy to my life, because I'm watching, I'm over here watching Scott slay it. I'm watching Cappuccino slay it. All these people around me doing things. I'm, taking it in and learning, because that's part of my adventure.
And don't forget yourself, because you're over there kicking ass and taking names, my friend.
Yeah, but I got short legs. Shayna says, I like when life shows me how I may have judged without having a full picture. Authentic people light me up and are increasingly rare. Real, not perfect, is where the fun starts. Bye-bye. Yeah.
I agree with that one. Absolutely. I was talking with Kelsey the other day at Zachary's ribbon cutting, and that exact comment basically came up. I'm like, authentic people really jazz me up. Like, I really intensely love talking to real people, because you're not having to second guess if there's, an ulterior motive or anything like that. And they're just like you're very authentic, right? You're genuine. You'll tell me what I need to hear, not necessarily what I want to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's funny. That's a bunch of crap, Shanna. Hey, Jamie, good morning.
Oh, my goodness.
Both are the best. That's why we love Jamie. Hey, you're looking to, maybe you get her to sell your house. I don't know.
If you're looking to buy a house, give her a call.
That's right. She is.
It's great to hear from you, Jamie.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean? The authenticness, right? Like, you're real. You'll talk to me. You stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Right. Like, when I ask you to come over to my side, say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with or what I need, and this is expertise, like, you'll give it to me and you'll tell me straight up. You're not going to candy coat it,
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. At some points, and maybe initially, it's kind of like a little bit rougher, but I asked, right? And I'm not in my lane. I'm asking you to come over and help me, what's your suggestion, how to help me move forward, right? To help my adventure.
Yeah. And that's, that's how, and that's how you do it. What I love best about this show is the people out there in the live studio audience, the chatters, they have their own conversations going, and I get a kick better out of their radio show than this. We did Don and Shayna live Friday mornings.
Yeah, right. That would, you need to get them in the studio.
It's not a BS show, it's a DS show. Womp 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 womp.
Don, what does he say? He said, I think we should learn new lanes, but don't act like you know that new lanes when you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Not the fake it till you make it. Be humble enough to go, I don't know what the hell I'm doing over here, but people are honking. Get out of the fast lane, dumbass. What do you?
Right. Well, in some respects, the fake it till you make it can harm you, depending, right? I mean, not always. I mean, I think the fake it till you make it thing where can be helpful, like, to people, is just keeping the positivity, right? I mean, sometimes there's toxic positivity, right? But the fake it till you make it has to do with mindset. I think, at least that's how I take it, right? I'm Oh, I'm doing great. Everything's good. The journey's good. I'm getting there to keep myself rolling instead of, you can't fake being a good accountant, right? You can't fake. Well, you could. It's going to cost you a lot of money, but
Yeah.
in that respect, right? That's what it means to me.
I can't
Right.
fake being an attorney.
You can, but living in a jail cell is not very fun. That's where spending your money for the right guy makes sense, right?
That's right. Yeah, and I like that. That's where if you're switching lanes, Don, right, you got to merge into that new lane. A lot of people just cut over. Woof. They're not looking in their blinders, their blind spots, their mirrors, and they just cut over. And then they act like they know what they're doing, and they're. It reminds me of where the Seinfeld episode where Kramer made the lanes bigger, more comfortable lane sizes.
Oh, I didn't see
And
that.
yeah, so all of a sudden, there were 4 lanes, and then there's 3 or something like that. It was causing massive traffic backups. He's like, "Oh, hey, I adopted a highway here, and I thought I'd make more comfortable lanes."
More comfortable. They got bumpers in them.
Yeah, and so I mean that you see that so many times, but the joy is in the business world. The joy is watching when a company brings in somebody that doesn't know that lane but sold themselves that they do know that lane, and you watch that company crash and burn, and that person just go crazy, and you're just like, yeah, you were a good interview, but you did not. I mean, you were way out over your skis on this one. You came into this lane fast, and you should have merged in because y'all don't know. And I think a lot of times in life and business, on the business side, about staying in your own lane is that's when changing lanes too fast or moving out there. I can use Tim. I like to pick on Tim Santos from Health Markets here, but I mean, he changed lanes, but he merged in, and he, you know what I mean, and he learned, and he got up to speed, and now they're one of the best producing offices in the United States, which is exciting. And they, but they did. If he would have just jumped in and tried to go quick, then it would have been disastrous for him. He probably wouldn't have stuck around. He would have got pushed off the road. But because he took it, I mean, he got in, he merged in, like coming out of the pits, and he did a good job. What lane? There's a lane, right? Right. Shayna says, I lack social deference and don't always pick up on the audacity of being myself among the quote unquote titled and quote unquote credentialed. They call it ADHD now, I think. Oh, and look, these two guys on screen are, I mean, we've lived an entire life. Back in the 70s, we were just hyper. They didn't label it. But yeah, now it's adult ADHD because we're old. But yeah, guess what? My brain is like cuckoo, cuckoo. Try sitting in a board meeting with me. And when a thought comes up, I just
Welcome to my world.
and it doesn't make any sense. And people look at me, I'm like, oh, sorry. Or you go up to somebody like, hey, you got a minute? Yeah, give me a minute. And I'll just start talking. I didn't hear, give me a minute. I'm gonna hear, yeah. So I just start talking. They're like, look, can I finish this? Oh, sorry. Right. I mean, my brain works like the Super Ball out of the gumball machine from Kmart, man. That thing will bounce everywhere. Bing bong, pew, pew, pew. That's the way my life is. That's why I've learned to say life is an adventure to be lived, not a problem to be solved.
You can't focus enough to solve the problem. You might as well just bounce around for a while.
Enjoy it. Enjoy that adventure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. But I mean, where it's at, and you're doing, and that's the thing. I've, all of us, and we've figured these things out over time, right? Like, what is our lane? With the studio, for example, right? Drew, right? You guys are a great partner, at least from the outside world, right? Are a good partnership, right?
Yeah.
You're staying in your lane. He's staying in his lane, and you guys are meshing that well.
Yeah.
Going well. The studio is growing. You know, it's awesome, and I just love seeing it. You know, yeah. You know, you say you like watching other people's adventures and, you know, seeing going on. I love watching what you guys are doing there and listening and, you know, talking about it. You know,
Yeah, and you got to be humble enough to look back at the map. I mean, when Ron, Coach, and I started this, we were in a 8x8 walk-in closet. You know, and then we moved over to the Tunyon Tower there, and we were in a 330 square foot, you know, space,
Studio.
right? Studio space. And now we've got a 1,600 square foot 3 studio green room. You know, you can see behind me, you know, blacklit and you know, couches and a kind of a cool hangout place. So yeah, I mean, to you know, and a lot of this is the vision of Drew, this space, and his ideas and concepts and understanding how to level up the business, which you know, I'm grateful for. But man, you look at where we came from, and you're just like, 3 guys stuck in a walk-in closet to this now, and it's like, you know, I mean, Wednesday, you know, coming up on Thursday, is Around the Piano. I mean, we've got, you know, driver. We've got the drummer from Joe Satriani, right? We're talking to him. We're talking to, you know, Eddie Martinez, who, you know, was the guitarist for Run DMC. You know, I mean, we got all these wild, famous people that I used to listen to on cassettes in my car, and we're chilling and having a conversation with them. So never in my world did I ever believe that, you know, that was part of the adventure. Never in my world did I believe that, you know, from an 8x8 foot walk-in closet studio that we'd be here. And you know, in 5 years, I'm gonna look back and go, I remember that little place, you know, because it's an adventure to be lived, man. It's fun.
Right. But, you know, at some point, and, you know, obviously there's other extenuating circumstances, but, you know, you've stayed in your lane, right? Like, you are great at what you do in that studio there, right? There's great things that Drew does for that studio, you know, and at some point you're like, all right, this is what needs to do. And you guys have both been focusing on that, right? And it shows, right? Like that recipe, if you will, is working very well.
Yeah.
At least from what I see on the outside world, right? Because maybe, you know, let's just say accounting or bookkeeping or whatever isn't your forte, or getting, you know, ad space or whatever it might be, right? You've passed that off. And for me, has really been hard, right? Because as you know, it's a perfectionist, and I know when I do it, I know it's done my way. Might not be the right way, but I know it's done my way. And it's not necessarily the right way. But you know, it's taken a lot for me to say, I have to relinquish this. If this is how my adventure wants to be, right? In order to make that adventure happen the way I envision it, I've got to release some of this responsibilities, right? To do my thing, to stay in my lane, to do what I do best, and let, you know, like Deidre, she's amazing. Let her do what she does best. I couldn't do what she does, or at least anywhere near to the efficacy, or just, you know, I couldn't do it. And I know that. And with my age has come accepting that, right? That I can't do everything, even though, or I shouldn't. It's not even that I can't. Maybe I shouldn't do everything, right? What should I pass off?
Right. You know, and that's you know, the interesting thing that you said to me is, you know, where I want this to go, right? Efficacy. Nice job. Yeah, I can't even say it when I read it.
It's early, guys. We should have this in the evening. You'd have more better words come out of my mouth.
And so I don't know where you know what I mean? I don't, you know, if you'd asked me when I was 22 and got married, it wouldn't be sitting behind this microphone, right? If it went the way that I wanted it to go, you know, because I was working construction, you know, who knows? I, you know, at that time probably thought I wanted to have my own construction company or cabinet making or whatever. Well, now I do woodworking as a hobby, but at the same time, you know, it wouldn't have been, would never have imagined that I'd be sitting behind a microphone, right? I wouldn't imagine that I'm on this part of the journey that I'm on, and loving absolutely 100% of everything that I do. You know, and I'm at a point where I'm like, you know, like this. I've got some ideas and goals and aspirations, of course, for the business, but at the same time, I don't know where it's going to go, you know, because at any point, you know, Ted Turner could walk in and give us $1 billion check because he thinks this is the coolest thing in the world. And I'll be like, hey, you won't see me Friday morning anymore. You know, yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I say for me, it's an adventure. For you, you are a planner. You are a, you know, here are the steps. Here's the recipe I have to get to this cake.
Well, right. I mean, you're not wrong in certain respects, but it is a huge adventure for me, dude. It's a huge adventure for me. I'm just, I don't want to even say I'm planning my adventure, right? Like I have a big picture idea of how I want, and someday, and it's changing a lot because, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions that we were, you know, sold as kids, right? Growing up is how life should be and, you know, what it is and what's important, right? I mean, for many, many years growing up as us, you know, it's, you know, the Gordon Gekko age, you know, greed is good, this is that, and the wrong ideas, the wrong morals, the wrong values, right? And over time, that's changing for me. But life is it's the best adventure I could ever imagine. There's a lot of road bumps that I never planned for, but and when we're setting, like, you know, with that being said, there's always goals or plans that we have, but it's being flexible to actually accept the changes, if you will, because it's not always going to go to plan.
Yeah.
Right. And it's having that flexibility. That's where, for me, I do struggle sometimes because I have an idea of where I want to go and how I want to get there. But when I hit that roadblock or I'm out of my lane and it causes a problem, right? It's like, why did that happen? Instead of just going, that happened. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that for me is a good and a bad thing because I can not hedge my bets, but I learn from it. Right. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I do take it a little bit too seriously, but I can't find fault in that system because it's gotten to me where I've got, you know, it's put me where I'm at right now. You know, do I have a great life? I have a wonderful life. Is it tough? Yeah, it's tough. You know, life, just like everybody else, it's not easy. It's what we make. It's what happens and how we respond to it. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you this, and you know, Shana might have said it earlier, but I piss a lot of people off in my life because I'm like, it is what it is. It'll figure itself out. And for the people who don't feel that way, and the people who are problem solvers, or the people who are, you know, uptight and wound tight, I piss them off. How can you not care? Well, what do you mean I don't care? You know, I care. There ain't nothing I can do. And, you know, but if I don't open my eyes tomorrow, I'm gonna guess that this world's gonna keep spinning. Right.
Right.
You know, and I'm not the one who gets to choose when my eyes open or close in the morning. Right.
No.
Never open.
No.
Right?
And so it's the reason I live the way I do.
So I don't worry about that. Right. But you know, Alice, you know, we're yin and yang. I mean, you know, I know I piss her off a lot because I'm like, just take a deep breath. It's going to be fine. It's good, you know. And she's a planner, and she's, you know, she is the tour guide, right? I mean, I put out that meme on social media a while back. You know, it's like in every relationship, you have one person who's packed the car and packed everything and planned out the trip, and the other person is the one getting in the car going, okay, where are we going again? Right?
Sounds like me.
and, you know, Alice is the packer. She's the planner, and I'm she's like, I've told you 85 times what we're doing. Oh,
here, Kent, here's the keys to the car. Let's start driving.
Right. You know, so I'm like, you know.
Speaking of that, Deidre, you can take my truck to the gym. I'll keep the convertible. Yeah, that's hilarious because Deidre's the same way, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She'll plan. She'll just have everything laid out. Tell me 10 times, right? And I wake up that morning and go, Where are we going? What time we leaving?
What's happening again?
That's not my thing.
Yeah. Shana says you get credit for being a realist. I keep one handy to pull me back from the edge. It's true. It's true, right? And I'm at the point where this world that we live on has changed so much since we were kids and we grew up and what we thought the world was going to be, right? I mean, we thought in 2000 we'd have the Jetsons, flying cars and things like that. Here we are in 2025, and all we've got is pocket computers that just cause chaos.
And electric cars that burn.
Yeah, it's who I don't know who the salesperson is who said, "Hey, these electric cars are better for the footprint and the environment because they're way wrong." And a whole bunch of people bought into it, going, "Oh, great, that's great."
It's electric. It's free. It's free energy.
Hey, you're just like, oh my gosh. And anyway, I digress. But and this is part of the adventure that I love because I'm sitting here speaking of those. This is why I love watching the adventure and watching life. Is 7 years ago, 8 years ago, you had a population who were buying up all these electric cars and Teslas because, oh my God, they're going to change the world and they self-drive and no, they're so good for the environment. And now those same people are spray painting Teslas and boo-hooing. And I'm like, wait, but
they're the bandwagoners.
What happened? What happened because you love that car for what it did for the environment? Now you're going back to a gas because anyway, I don't understand. Right?
That's the person that wants to be in the lane that everyone else likes. Yeah. Right.
Meanwhile,
their own lane.
Meanwhile, I drive my 5.7 liter V8 gas powered truck. And that's what people say. I hear people complain about gas prices. You'll never hear me complain about gas prices because I choose to drive a big fucking truck.
Right, and that's great, right? That's a beautiful thing about who it's your choice, right?
Shana says, "Have you been in a self-driving car yet?" I have not. I
have, and cool as hell. But the technology and the savings or the better and for the environment is sold as such a lie that people just don't understand it. And that's the problem for me is I just call them bandwagoners, right? Like jump on the latest, greatest thing. Do I want to save the world and save the environment? If, I do, and if there's things that we can do to help that and it really makes sense. I mean, you always tell me that I look, 8 steps farther than most people, right? Yep. Most people don't. That's one that you can see right away that, and I know we're jumping off, but that's something you can see with that, right? I mean, you can see it down the way. The one thing I love about you, when you're talking is that you do piss people off, but the reason you piss them off a lot of times because you're actually making them actually think and be honest to themselves. Yeah. Like you'll say something, be like, well, that's interesting. Why didn't you do that? And most people will just pass it off. But if it's something really they should be doing and it upsets them, I have found a lot of times something that somebody like you, let's say you say something that upsets me or I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Right? But it makes sense. It's something I actually think about it.
Shada's on fire. An Uber without the smell and conversation. I see the draw.
Dude, I don't know if I would want to do that one, getting into a car that, there's not even a human in it.
Hey, well, I would. It'd be an adventure. Let's see what happens. I mean, but if those doors lock and I can't get out, anyway, and another adventure.
Lack of control there for me. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, what we've lost in today's world and why people don't stay in their lane, or they always poke into your lane, is we've lost as a species. A majority of us have lost the ability to critically think, right?
100%.
And and you can call that the problem solvers, but we don't. We have just as a species have lost the ability to critically think. That's why I irritate a lot of people because I'll show them a different side of the coin or I'll challenge them to get them. And it hurts when you have to critically think and you've never done it before. I mean, it hurts your brain. It's a different muscle. And that's where people get upset, because what we have done instead of learn to critically think is we've learned to spew our opinion and think that it matters. Right. And that's where everything is, that's where the adventure started to slide downhill quick. Right. Is our inability to critically think. I mean, we love marketers, right? I mean, there was a point back in the 80s where the plastic company said, hey, let's make plastic grocery bags. It'll be better for the environment. You don't have to cut down trees. Well, what we neglected to see is trees grow, right? I mean, and the forest companies, when they cut down trees, they replant, right? But we didn't talk about that. What we talked about was it's bad. Now the ocean is full of plastics and microplastics, and the world is so garbaged up with so many plastics. Now we're going, geez, we have a plastic problem. Well, you bought into it, and it's like these batteries. These batteries on these cars got to die and go someplace. Where are you going to put those?
You know what? What does that bring us back to, buddy? The statement that I loved, that I wrote on my truck and irritated a lot of people. Follow the money on those, right?
Yep.
The reason it was done was people were making money. They found a new way, a new product, a new idea to get everyone to jump on the bandwagon, right? Oh, this is great. And they appealed to the people's, heart, right?
Yeah.
Right. Not their intellect, their heart.
Right.
Oh, you can save the world by doing this. But by the way, if you're not paying attention, these 6 guys are making millions and millions of dollars, right? And
Yep.
we'll never give back any of that to fix what they're screwing up, just to make a plastic bag. The people don't even realize it takes oil to make that bag. Oil.
Yep.
I mean, what do people drive electric cars for? Because you don't need oil. Well, electric cars are driven by coal. Coal is worse than oil, so to speak. Right. I mean, goods and bads, right? But I mean, they're both bad, but people don't realize that they're being sold on, something nice. So just follow the money.
No, I agree with you, Shane. And Shane says, I love hearing opinion. Really. It's when presented as an absolute fact that I tend to get snotty. Yeah. I'm with you on that. That's when I pull out my bullshit card. Okay. Yeah, we've gone far enough with that one, I think, right? But that's where then I go, okay, take my gloves off, game on. And we'll start poking this, and we'll start putting Swiss cheese all over your opinion that you are saying is absolute fact.
And the world, I think, needs more people like you, right?
Oh.
I think the world does need more people like you, because you make people think as well as, and you do it in a manner where you have to kind of respond, right? Whether it's to yourself or back to you as the person.
Yeah.
Questions and the way that you pose things, at least for me, I can't leave it alone. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm either going to come right back at you and realize that, wait a minute, I am wrong. Thank you for bringing it up. Or, dude, you got to look at this from a different angle, right? This is not, you're not in your wheelhouse by telling me what to do or not to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, I agree. And 100% Don, electric cars are nice to see the minerals being mined by 9-year-olds. Well, they call it the 3rd grade science project. Go out and dig a hole. And then cars that can be controlled remotely are important to somebody. That's what I always say. Nothing like lockdown. Oop, your car doesn't start. Huh.
Allegedly.
Yeah, don't know what's happening. It's a satellite.
Wait, I can't spend anything on my credit card. What happened here?
Yeah. I mean, even gas powered cars with OnStar and things like that.
Oh yeah. They could lock them down.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to move back into nature. I'm going to blend back into the trees. Start wearing my leather loincloth and just, I don't deal with any of that anymore.
As long as it has a place for your cell phone.
No, I'm trying to get rid of that too.
You can never.
No, with what we've got going on right now, and until the day comes that we want to, completely disconnect, it'll never happen. but not having it with me or not making it control. I was thinking about that the other night. It's not, once again, it's not what happens. It's how you react. You have a phone with you all day long. You don't doesn't mean you have to look at it.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to interact with it. Right.
They sure don't.
Right. And that's, I think a lot of people, do that. Almost, I don't want to say, but they'll just sit at it and stare at it because that just becomes a habit.
Yep.
Right. So.
Yep. That's for true.
I don't know, dude. I don't know, but I do so love the fact that, you have helped me understand my lane better, by through your questioning, because you are staying in your lane and you understand your lane, right? You understand that you're a bear poker.
Well, right? You can put me in a padded room and I'd have fun. That's just me, right? Like, I don't know, a straight jacket on in a padded room. Well, I don't know. God put me in there for a reason. Let's figure.
Let me figure out the reason I'm here. And that's beautiful, dude. That's why Alice married you.
The bad thing is, you get to be our age and certain parts of your body itch sometimes. So if you're in a straitjacket, you wouldn't be able to scratch that itch. But, anyway.
I love how your mind works.
He will not just tell you to get out of the lane, but get off the road. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Good gravy. There's a lot of that. Like, it's still, the left lane is for fast people. Please move over. If 6 cars got to go around you on the right, there's an issue.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Even though I'm not going the fastest all the time, I prefer the left lane anyway. It's smoother.
Yeah. So you're the problem.
No, I get out of people's. I'm not Wisconsin. You ever notice that? Wisconsin people don't like to get out of the lane. You can be tailgating them.
And for all of
allegedly
our listeners, we absolutely love you.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Do it from the left lane. I don't care.
If you got a bitch, send them my email, because I love Wisconsin too, but I find it so funny.
Oh yeah. The more states you drive through, the more interesting.
Well, it seems like each state has their own kind of driving technique, kind of, in a way, right? Yeah. Like, I hate driving, and I love Lake Zurich, but I hate driving through Lake Zurich. It's always a challenge. I'm trying to get out of my lane to get around people.
Yeah, it's a weird. The civil engineers were interesting on the draw through Lake Zurich.
Yeah,
because it goes from 2 lanes to 3, back to 2,
6.
It's just crazy. Back to 2. Yeah, it's nuts.
They didn't want to stay in their lane. They were just trying all kinds of different shit.
Well, I mean, that's the important thing is, staying in your lane. But what I would challenge people to do is enjoy the lane that you're in for however long you're in it. Right? There's so many times we don't enjoy the lane that we're in, or the part of the adventure that we're traveling on. I watch a lot of social media posts of people who hate a particular orange man. And I'm like, why are you flooding this? Because in 5 years, these are all going to pop up as, then and now or whatever. And it's just going to irritate you. And I sent a message to a buddy of mine, and I'm like, I just need to ask a question. Why do you choose to be so angry? You could post anything. You could post anything on your social media, yet you choose to post things that upset you. Why? And I haven't heard back from him.
You probably won't.
I don't get it. I try to put funny things out there, or things that, about the basketball team, things that motivate people, whatever. But the bottom line, I don't understand, why people would choose to be angry and miserable and do things that make them angry and miserable.
Well, and here's the best thing. They're angry and miserable about things that they have no control over.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's affecting their life, right? The things that they're mad about might be affecting their life, right? Which they have no control over. But they have a ton of control over what they're doing about it, right? Like I can't change that gas prices went up. So I'm not going to bitch when I go to the gas pump, right?
Right.
My control. You decide, like me or you decided to buy these trucks that don't get gas mileage. That's my control. That's right. Right. But it's those, it's just, it's like people just bitch to tell people you make yourself unhappy.
Yep.
If all you do is bitch and point out the negatives and you have to be real about things, but if all you're going to do is bitch and complain and be negative, how do you expect yourself to have fun or enjoy anything?
That's it. That's why I say, I don't care if you stay in your lane or you come over to mine, but enjoy it. Enjoy the lane you're in for the time that you're in it. Enjoy the piece of the adventure you're on while you're in it. Just keep moving ahead. And like Rancher Ron said, life's an adventure to be lived, not a problem to be solved. And once you understand what that truly means, life is pretty grand.
Right. Well, and with that being said, like the whole reason for me wanting to do this today was, like staying in your lane. Are you doing something because you're expected to do it? Right. That's not your lane. A lot of people go to work and do the job just to make money. Right.
Yeah.
It's not their lane. They do it because that's what they were told or that's what they were taught. Right. It's not what their head tells them to do. So there's a conflict. You're in constant conflict. Right.
Conflict. Yeah.
When do you know when to get out of your lane? Hey, I need to make money to live. So obviously this is a job I have right now and have to take. But at what point do you go, fuck, enough is enough, right? If I'm going to be miserable, why not? When do I move? Right? Like what's going to prompt you? What's going to kick you in your ass to get you out of your lane?
Yep.
To start that new adventure, because getting out of your lane is an adventure sometimes, especially in Chicago traffic, right? I mean, absolutely. But in life, I mean, when you got out of, what you're doing right now, you jumped out of your lane. You've been in banking for how many years and bang, you jumped out, right? It was time.
Yeah, I agree, Don. Not one.
What did he say?
He just said, do you know just one person who had their political mind changed based on social media posts? It's a waste of time.
I don't know anybody, but I'm sure there's people out there.
Yeah. And Shannon says, I post for me. Thinking helps me. And keeping tabs on culture requires an opinion. Yep. Hey, listen, we're at the back end of this. Speaking of staying in our lane or getting out of it, we're going to have Tommy take us out. But hopefully we'll see you in studio next week, Scott.
Yep.
Keep paddling on that adventure and enjoying it. And, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. But appreciate everybody joining us this morning.
Yeah, I'll be back Sunday. We'll get in touch for sure, guys. Thank you for tuning in again today and listening to this to the OG idiots. I love it. I mean, life is an adventure to be lived, guys. Go out there, live it, and find out, it's hard, but find out what your lane is. Figure out what makes you happy, what makes you tick, just do it. Life is too short. We don't know our COD or our checkout date on this Blue Marble, right? Thank you for tuning in, guys. Appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Go out there, be the change you want to be in the world. Work hard, be nice to people. Buddy, I'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Tommy. If you're not at 216 Creator Studios, this is what it sounds like. Now, if you are at 216 Creator Studios, this is what it sounds like. Yeah! 216creatorstudios.com